Hey there everyone, I'm Brittany, and on my channel by Brittany Goldwyn, I share videos about DIY home projects, houseplants, and gardening. And today I've got a detailed review of the Click and Grow 25 Indoor Smart Gardening System. And just as a quick disclaimer, I have worked with Click and Grow, the company, in the past for my website by Brittany Goldwyn, and they did send me the Click and Grow 25 for free to review, but I'm not being compensated in any other way for review. So as you can see, I have my Click and Grow growing tables set up down here. I'm in my basement in my craft room, which gets very little natural light, but that is okay because all of the lighting is built into the growing table, which is fantastic. It is blinking right now because it is telling me I need to reconnect my Bluetooth, which I have avoided doing for a while because I do not leverage a lot of the smart garden features, which I will talk through a little bit in this review. And everything has still been great with the table, even though I don't use them. So since I'm sitting here with my phone on right now, which I have connected the table to, but not set up any sort of schedule or really finished connecting to my Bluetooth connectivity, you may see some blinking behind me. So the table itself is pretty simple to set up. I set it up all by myself in like 30 minutes or so in the basement. Just follow the directions. A lot of the stuff comes pre-labeled, or the whole like growing thing up here, the light system, this comes completely set up by itself, and then the bottom comes set up as well. So you're really just attaching these sides, and then some of the drawer functionality you can see here. You can pull out the growing table for easier access. That all comes pre-assembled, so setting it up is really a breeze. I mentioned some of the smart garden features. You can download the app and keep a record of what you're growing in each of these pods. It is specifically designed for greens, but there are lots of different types of greens that you can grow using Click and Grow pods. I chose not to do that because I'm pretty chaotic when it comes to these things. I do not keep great records of what I'm growing. I like to throw the pods in, look at the labels when I'm putting them in, and then kind of be surprised when they grow. As you can see here, I have a pretty good variety of greens growing right now. To get this full of a table, this took about, I want to say about 5 weeks, because I reseeded my pods in each of these levels every 5 weeks. You can set reminders in the app. Again, I did not do that. I just remembered that every Monday is my plant reseeding day, where I put my new pods in my table and move everything over. So I mentioned that there's a 5-week growing cycle. So like growing many things, this is going to take some patience before you get a harvest. But once you have the system going for a number of weeks, you can have fresh greens every single week. The first side that I seeded was over here, and you can see I still have the humidity dome on here because I'm about to move these over. And when I move these over and reseed a new section of pods here, I will move this humidity dome to the brand new pods. And that just helps the seeds to germinate when you first put the pods in and they are exposed to the water and light. The growing system also comes with an extra tray, and this has a handle on it. This is so that when you are harvesting the right, in my case, leftmost, but you can work left to right or right to left. The leftmost side of most mature greens, I can pop the pods in here, take it to my kitchen to chop down the greens, and then throw the pods in the compost, and then shift everything over. So I will show you guys what that looks like when I'm actually reseeding my pods at the end of this video. In terms of watering, you do not have to water daily or even weekly. There is a water basin underneath of all of these growing trays, growing tables, whatever they're called, that you fill up with water, and it stays full for quite a while. Each of the little pod areas has a wicking stick that wicks water up to the bottom of the growing tray and into the pod that you're growing, and that is how the plants are watered. So as long as you keep your system plugged in and it's getting the growing lights, and you make sure that water basin stays full, it is a pretty idiot-proof way of growing things indoors. When you order your pods or your set, you can order a lot of different types of greens to grow. This is romaine lettuce. I've got green chard. What else do I have in here? I think I might have spinach. I have arugula. I have some mustard greens. Lots of different things that I just kind of threw in to let it grow and ensure that I get a variety. I like to mix up all of my greens in one salad and not just have one type of green, because that way you get different textures, different consistencies, and different flavors when you're having a salad. So I will show you here. This is a green chard pod. And this is exactly what all of the pods look like, really. They come looking just like this, and then they have a hole in the top that the seed is already in. So you just plop this pod down in, and like I said, you make sure that the water basin is still full of water. You can just check that like roughly weekly when you're replenishing your pods, and your plants will grow pretty much all by themselves. Okay, so the real question I know you are all wondering, if I did not receive this table for free, is it something that I would buy? And that's not really an easy yes or no question because everyone's circumstances are a little bit different. I will tell you this, I love having a way that I can grow greens year round indoors. I'm an avid gardener. I have a huge garden outdoors, but we are not in a year-round growing area. So, for example, even though we have all 4 seasons and I can generally grow outdoors from early spring until late fall, I obviously can't grow greens in the winter here, and it gets very, very hot where I live. And if you've ever tried to grow greens outside where it gets very, very hot, you know that they get very bitter, they can go to seed very quickly, and it's just not a controlled environment where you can really grow greens for the entire growing season. So that makes something like the Click and Grow, whether it's one of their smaller gardens or something as big and extravagant as the 25 pod growing table, something very practical for someone like me to have. Now, if you're someone who doesn't mind a little bit of extra mess and doesn't mind a little bit of extra work to grow things indoors, you may not need something like the growing table or Click and Grow for that matter. You can set up a grow light setup. You can get a large growing basin or pots or whatever you choose to use and seed your own lettuce seeds and water them and set up a whole system. And you will undoubtedly spend a lot less money than you would investing in something like the Click and Grow 25 or any of their products. However, a lot of people do not want to do that. They will not commit to, keeping up with watering. Having exposed soil like that can be messy in your house, especially if you have kids or pets, and you may not just want to deal with thinking about it. So if you're someone who can afford something like the Click and Grow, someone who wants something that's really plug and play, very user friendly and highly effective at growing, to grow when you can't be growing things outdoors, then Click and Grow products are definitely something I would look into. So while you're thinking about buying one, I would think about all of those things. The ease of growing, whether or not you prefer to set up a system yourself, whether you want to go greens. This system is specifically designed for greens. If you'd like to grow other things in your Click and Grow, they have tomato plants, pepper plants, herbs, all sorts of things. You may want to consider a different Click and Grow system if you aren't specifically interested in growing greens. All right, so that about sums up my thoughts on the Click and Grow 25 Smart Growing Table. I am about to take some of this upstairs to cut down and harvest. We are just nearing the end of being able to grow lettuce and spinach outdoors where I am because it is getting very hot here already. So I anticipate I will be using this probably throughout June, July, and early August. And then I will switch to some outdoor growing because I do have that outdoor growing space once it gets a little cooler, and then jump back to the indoor growing in the winter. So this is a great effective way to grow year round. If you are interested in getting any of the Click and Grow products, I do have a referral code that will give you a fixed amount off of your purchase for using my link and my code, and I will throw that down in the caption of this video. If you have any questions about Click and Grow products, things you can grow, my experience growing with them, this is the second Click and Grow product that I've used. I'm happy to answer your questions in the comments, and until then, happy planting.